Hello, dearest friends. Welcome to July Zac Chat with our beloved Guide for the Future, Zac. Greetings, greetings, dearest Zac. Welcome back. It's lovely to be with you again. And we're now heading into the second half of the year. And I'm sure all of your dearest friends will be interested in any of your insights or guidance that you can share with us at this time. I also have some great questions that I feel will be of great interest that we can move on to after.
Well, it is certainly a time for optimism and positivity. Uh, and when you think, well, I need to dig deep into the bottom of my bag to find some of that, it actually is better than you think. Things are moving. It is a bit like something that is stationary, something that is stagnant. At least when it gets momentum and it starts to move, you have far more room for negotiation, far more possibility, potential for change. So everything may feel quite busy, quite speedy, quite changing at this time. But I would say embrace that. Keep into your heart what changes you would like as well, but also know that any change, any shifts give the momentum and give the occasion for positivity and optimism as people come together using their power, their innate power of their humanity with kindness and grace and love to create the positivity and optimism that you want. So a good cycle, eh? Aha, of positivity and optimism.
And what a great way to start this Zac Chat as well. I have some really great questions from our dear patrons. Firstly, if there is a parting of the ways of lower and higher consciousness levels and perceptions across the global population, how will this happen? And what will we experience? And if not, what are we likely to experience?
So we're talking a little bit about polarization, extremes.
Mm.
This has been happening for a long time anyway. So it is not so much something that is often given that there's going to be this complete shift and change, a bit like a taking of sides. Think of a sports team, all of you in red over there, all of you in blue over there, all of you in white over there, segregation. Anyone that has, listened to the energy of Zachariah for a long time. No, segregation is something of the past, not the future. It is easy, however, to what you are seeing in your world to assume there is going to be a complete polarity. What may happen more so regarding coherence and the comfortable levels of coherence is if you're in one energy state and someone is quite a polarized different energy state, as you know, it is very uncomfortable to be around, not just for you, but for them as well. If you are completely in the depths of misery and somebody comes bouncing in, full of beans, full of happiness, it may not make you feel happy. It's too extreme. It's too different. You may find anger with that. And the person who is so happy may not be able to completely empathize, find compassion in their heart for the one that is in the depths of misery because it is too far out of their scope of experience at that moment. Okay, so these are natural things where that level of polarization may happen, but fundamentally, what the hearts are doing, the energy, the frequency, this year, all of the years, but this year in particular, in this time of rebuild and change, is really focused on the connection of hearts. So you do not have to know someone. It is not heart to heart with someone who you already completely love, admire, enjoy being around. It is a connection. We are not talking about love of the romantic sense. This is love of another fellow being going through difficulties, going through change, just as you may be. And so, therefore, we are not expecting to see vast levels of higher, lower consciousness separated. What we might see is the polarization of people, but the thing that holds everyone together is a heart. So, if you are experiencing this, if you see this in your world or further reaches across the globe, go into your heart space. And something that could be very encouraging is simply to intend with your heart's desire that people see the hearts. feel the hearts, understand the hearts of each other. And then that brings a level of coherence where we can all become one. Understand? Yes?
I'm so glad that this question was asked, because it seems that this is such an important concept for us to really, really take to heart. Thank you so much for that answer. I think that there's a feeling that there's this lower and higher consciousness, and it's great to be reminded of our unity and of the coherence between us.
I can even say to you different Hazel, because people that are listening, that are watching, they know of your energy. They know of your upbeat nature. However, if something dramatic happened to you, it would be completely natural if in that instance of shock or whatever it may be, you would fall into what people would categorize as a lower frequency
Mm.
because you may feel pain, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever it may be. But this is part of being human. And this is when other people come around, honor that, look after you until you can be upbeat, and then the cycle continues. And it is very useful for us to think of this as being human, but not in a detrimental way. Oh, that's human, not spiritual. This is where some of the spirituality teachings have gone a little bit awry. You need to be human to be here on planet Earth. To be human is a wonderful thing, but it is to understand your nature, honor the nature of others, and be together as one. To move out of judgment. Judgment is a big part of this, of higher, lower, whatever. There is a factual part of that, and that's fine. That's discernment. But when we go further, and this is not about the person who has asked a good question, but generally speaking, when we actually start to think of it as a polarized fashion and we start to have judgment on that, rather than trying to solve the reasons why some people may be in a higher or some people may be in a lower for the majority of their time, this is where the heart heals. The heart heals humanity. The heart heals for nature to give ourselves whilst in human form, this base and the encouragement to simply go into the heart, to let go of the judgment, and just simply say, I would so desire for us to coherently come together as one. And this bridges a gap between. Understand? Yes, my dear.
I do. And I love that explanation, helping us really understand that high frequency doesn't necessarily mean spiritual beliefs, for example,
Not
um,
at all.
and that we are coming together, and that some of the things that maybe will happen over the next few years will help bring us together even in a coherent space. Correct.
Absolutely. Belief, this is very interesting. Belief does not make a person high, low, whatever. It is about the action that comes from that belief. So you could have someone who is a believer in Islam, believer of Hindu, Sikhism, Christianity, Catholicism, agnostic, no belief at all. But it is what they carry in their heart. I'm using religious here just because this is very understandable that one may be quite different from another to another. Look at the person, the heart of the person. It is in their actions, their deeds, and their love for for the planet and for other sentient beings that really show the light within, not from what has happened to them or what they believe at all. So you really hit the nail on the head when you said nothing to do with spiritual beliefs. It is what is in their heart and what they allow their heart to govern in their actions and their deeds. Understand, yes?
I love this answer. Thank you so much for sharing this, Zach. I think it will help us all just be a little bit less judgmental, even though we don't want to be judgmental. Somehow it is an inherent part of being human, and observe the actions of all of our fellow humans and be more understanding. Like you say, when people are going through tough times, their energy will be lower for sure. Thank you, Zach. Right, let's move on to the next question. So, this is a lovely question, and it's asking you if you can share more about the qualities of sound and their impact on all of us and our environment at this time, including the sounds of nature, down to a blade of grass, humming, singing bowls, natural instruments, and so much more.
Mhm. Well, how many hours do I have?
A few minutes.
So I need to bring this down a little bit into a nutshell. I need to hit the point quite strongly.
Yeah.
Frequency is sound, whether you can hear it or not. In human world, and because of your physicality, often you think of sound as what the ear defines. But of course, people know that their pets, for example, can hear sounds that they cannot hear. And there are all sorts of sounds that radiate from the universe, even the magnetic field and other creates sound that is picked up with technology. Again, not the ear. So I think it would be safe to say that all people, all frequency is a level of sound. Too many sounds to count up, but it is sound all the same. The universe is made of sound. Now, if we think the most fundamental part, broken down, way beyond atoms and so forth, is a frequency of sound, then you could see that it would be very natural to say that sound has the ability to move those frequencies. I use this word very precisely, to move them. So they could be moved into a state of incompatibility with what surrounds them, or compatibility. We are back to the word coherence again. Most people really understand the concept now that when the body, the energy field is out of balance, you get disease or you get disorder or disharmony in the body. And this can be very stressful to the body and creates all sorts of things which are out of balance. Therefore, it is safe to say that using sound and frequency to regain balance. We could even jump straight to the conclusion to heal and other such things is a very, very useful way of being. However, we are looking at the very fundamental levels. And so for this to truly work in the way that people as humans do, which have busy, busy minds, you know, the mind going, is this working? Is this? You have to let go of all resistance to it because you are going into the most fundamental part of your being. You cannot go into sound within a human form without connecting with the soul because it is the most basic building block of the life, of the personality, of the spirit, of the soul that you are. So when we are looking at the development that you are getting in your current times, this time of evolution of the planet, of humans, of all sentient beings, of all that has a pulse, shall we say, whether a physical pulse or not upon your planet, you can understand that there has been a resurgence of understanding about sound and sound being used not only in terms of technology, in terms of space, in terms of bodies, in terms of moving equipment, breaking down for something like a marble, or rather they can be broken down with certain sound waves. And so you can build as well as break down. It does take someone with experience and training for the really, really deep work, whether it is on ourselves as human beings, or whether it is on something that is more of an inanimate object or whatever it may be. It is truly the potential and the strongest of all timelines that sound will become far, far more prominent, particularly within the next 5 to 7 years, just in your very everyday industries. Using this often rather than the old fossil fuels and so forth as well to work certain machineries, do certain things, things that would need a different type of fuel. Sound is not a fuel, of course, but it is a frequency that can be adapted to then shift and change other frequencies. I do not want to say sound is in its infancy, because of course it is not. And what you consider ancient man or woman used it constantly because they did not have the technology that you have these days, moving vast weights and so forth. However, where it has not been used too much until now is enabling growth. So growth in harvest, growth, say for fruit trees, whatever it may be. We know about energy, what is often called energy healing, giving energy, and this is true. But this can also be adapted with sound. So what I would say really is, because there is so much to consider, if you are one that is drawn to sound, use sound, or having connection with it, and you wish to go deep, do so from the study of what is there, but also go with your heart's intuition. We're back to the heart, of course, are we not different, Hazel? With the universe, which is always speaking, always giving solutions. So if you have an intent of how you would like sound to come into your life to help with certain things, you could start very slowly, but also take from your heart, take from your intuition where this would actually go. But also very useful to receive some training, because frequencies, if you are basing it on your human ear, it is quite minimal, the level of frequency that you can hear, but what you can feel is very different. Understand? Yes.
Absolutely. And I love how the questioner asked about the sounds of nature, because I know when I'm listening to birdsong, I feel uplifted in that moment. There's an awe and a beauty that seems to change my state in the most positive way. And I loved when you mentioned about sound on fruit trees. Everything within nature is, birds filling an apple tree, twittering away, is going to have an impact on growth. So I loved how you wove all that into your answer, Zac.
Of course, and we have the base of the bee's hum, but there is a hum that actually comes constantly from the earth, just your ears do not pick it up. And when you've got raindrops, heavy raindrops on the earth, pitter-patter, pitter-patter, it gives a different resonance again. As you say, all the little animals, the insects made all sorts of noises. It would drive you deranged if you could actually hear the level, with your own ears. There's a reason why the eardrum has evolved to only permit a certain level of frequency of sound that you can hear. Does not mean to say you're not receiving the frequency, because otherwise it would be just too much for the brain to take in to actually be able to hear so much. But there is so much, as you say, nature, and when the birds are twittering to each other and so forth, they are part of nature, and they are often singing purely for the earth because they do not question it. They just do what they do, as does the wind through the trees, as does the weather that comes in. Everything is connected. So when you make very, very loud sounds outside, this is impacting nature. Do not be concerned, that, oh no, I'm upsetting it. It is just part of the big soup that there is of your own sound. But what is more important, and what nature is constantly picking up, is the frequency. And people often hear after they depart this life and they move into spirit, and they talk of sweet song and music that they hear, especially those that have only died for a short time and come back. This is not celestial music. They are hearing the song of their spirit. Everybody's spirit is singing a song. The more harmonious, of course, they would hear to your own hearing. But the universe is hearing your song. Why do you think when you go into nature and you walk up to a tree and you feel it beckoning or pushing you away? It is not that it does not look like the look of the colored jacket you are wearing that day. It is how harmonious your energy is. Is this an energy that it wishes to bring in or understands, or is it something that is going to be uncomfortable to it? You understand? Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the reminder about the sounds that we can't perceive with our ears, but the effect is still working very much on our vibrational frequency. and on so much more that is invisible to us. I certainly noticed the positive effect it has on children, for example, and I know that's for all ages. Just lifting the mood with some beautiful music is so helpful to all of us.
And this is why it is so important when the meditations, whether they are Zachariah meditations, whether they are Janet meditations, the music is picked and identified to be able to dovetail in with the encoding for that particular meditation. But because as human beings, we like to hear something melodious, something that talks to our heart. But you know how you often hear something, you think, well, I used to like this, but now it is making me feel a little bit strange. It is because it is working within you. It is shifting a frequency within you. Why certain age groups like different music from other, why there is a resonance with the bass at some points in your life, and when you are needing grounding, needing stability, and other times when you are looking for a lift and it is maybe higher on the octaves. So there's so much that actually can be looked into in music in itself. But it should be, as we said, and as you picked up on there, my dear, if we're looking at sound, we probably should look at more of the sounds that affect us that we do not even hear. Understand, yes.
Absolutely. And just on your meditations, I know how long it can take to create the playlist. And a welcome back, Zach. It's been just such a delight to have the Divine Flow meditation this month. And I know it's going down a storm with our patrons. So thank you so much for that. And all the meditations that you and Janet have co-created have just been such a gift to us. And speaking about the sound, I know that you encode all these meditations with so much more than our ears can necessarily pick up.
And it is important, this is a different method, as you know, of channeling with Janet than used to be. And
Mm.
yet, it was a conscious decision, was how few humans would say it these days. It was a conscious decision to utilize the voice that I have always used
Mm.
because how I can encode within the sound that you hear. So, say, every time we are talking, it is not just what you are hearing, there is encodement. And as we explained in a deep dive, I believe, what encodement really truly is. So do not have any fear. Nothing untoward is happening that you do not know. But this is very soothing, the encodement that is being given, so that you can receive what you need to receive with least resistance. You understand? So it
Indeed.
is not like coercion at all. That's a completely different thing. What this is opening up so that you can understand your own heart's desires, understand your own heart's hurts and heart's healings
Mm.
in the most easeful way. Understand? Yes. So sound comes into everything, my dears, into everything.
Everything. Thank you. That's so beautiful. I would love to ask this question. It's asking for a quick confirmation regarding your conversation with Pam recently that the prevailing astrology becomes imprinted in the water. So the question is asking, are we then drinking the astrological transits despite the water going through modern plumbing and treatment plants?
I noticed within your question you said quick. And it can be a quick answer, yes. You know, uh, the water does not care how far inland, you are, how far away from the local reservoir this is coming. Yes, it may go through pipes. Yes, it may go through this, that, and the other. And yes, of course, as we've spoken before, it is very important to be careful of what else may be in your water that is more about a physical level. And salt filtering and other such things are still important. But in terms of the light codes, they work on such a different frequency. They are not ground down by whatever may possibly be in the water. But that is something just to be more aware of for your physical level. But the encodements are there. There's such a high level of vibration. Now, when I say high, this is not to be confused with how we normally think of higher and lower. What we mean by this is they are a frequency that is out of the remit of what is upon your earth, it comes purely down from the celestials, is imprinted in such a blueprint fashion that none of what these modern things would do is going to be problematic. But what is important is to have flow, to have flow, to have flow. So it is not ideal to have a big, stagnant, stagnant, no, wrong word, because stagnant would be very bad, to have just a tank. And it is the same water from the same tank that you are drinking 3 weeks later.
Mhm.
Flow is good. Actually, that is why having it coming through the pipes and so forth is actually quite useful, because there is flow. And as we have mentioned before, of course, you can utilize putting the water out in the sunlight, the moonlight, just for a little while, whether it is on some sacred geometry or whatever else, just to really help it. But it is really just the fact of just having flow. Having flow. But yes, in short, the answer to your question is yes, no problem at all.
That's wonderful. I'm sure lots of people have been wondering that. So thank you so much for that answer, Zac. The final question today is, when will we be ready, able and responsible enough to manifest the most amazing things in our timelines for the highest good of one and all?
Ah, shortest answer for today. Now. Has been for a long time. The reason why I say now is when we put our hearts, our minds, our energy to what we desire, and we push away boundaries of saying, well, that wasn't possible before, or this is happening, or that is happening. Every individual that is here has great power. Listen to everything I've been saying the last few years in particular. The power is vast within each person. And because you are the universe and the universe is you, you, in a way, are just simply a manifestation of the power of the universe. So, why can you not do what you need to do today, tomorrow, the next day? Yes, there are human things that can come in the way, and this is very true, but the energy is ripe and ready. And the more that people see others that are doing extraordinary things, and that does not mean to say miraculous, that does not mean to say things that have never been done before, but actually seeing people that have the energy and the fortitude to live out their lives in the kindness and the grace, but with good hearted intention, invention, creation, the more that others will say, I can do that too. So be a pioneer, be out there. The time is now, definitely. Aha.
Zac, I remember you saying that actually things that perhaps we struggled to manifest in the past, try again, because now the energy is different, we're different, possibilities, potentials are all increasing so that we can start to have success where maybe we hadn't before. Would you like to just expand a little bit on that?
Absolutely. Everything is in a moment of its time. So there's no adage, try again. Is it not true? Otherwise, you could do one thing and say, well, that didn't work, and never ever do it again. And, the earth will ground to a stop.
Mm.
We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures. We learn as well, just the timing wasn't right. Maybe we look back and we say, I do not know why this thing did not work at that time. But we can waste a lot of energy that we have now going over and over. Why? When actually it is far easier, energetically speaking, to say, well, it is my intention that this is going to happen, whatever it may be, or I'm going to make this such a thing happen.
Mm.
And then know you're in a new time. You are different because you are changing in every moment. And then you can manifest it. Then you can do it. Then you can achieve it. On a very simplistic way of looking at it, look at somebody who may have taken an exam and they fail it. But they do have all the knowledge. And even if they do not know why, in that moment they failed it. Maybe they go back, maybe they get extra resolve, maybe they give themselves a talking to, maybe they do some more study and then they take it again and this time they pass, or even if they fail. But it would be such a shame if after any failure they say, well, that didn't work, and everything that went before it went away.
Mm.
We all know, and it is something that everybody groans at. We grow by our failures, what does not work. But it also makes it ever so much sweeter when we do manifest, when we do create, when we do something in its entirety in a way that is our heart's desire. So never stop achieving, never stop trying. This isn't about achievement for the sake of achievement. This is about growth and going forward and always putting one step in front of the other. Understand? Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Thank you so much for that encouragement and just that understanding of more about our true nature, but also the potentials and possibilities that lie ahead. Zac, I know how much people love your mantras, and I wonder, as you leave us today, whether there is a little mantra that you could share with us for July.
Mm. Positivity and optimism is my bedrock. Haha.
Love it. Thank
Let's have that. This has been an upbeat chitty chat, has it not? Especially questions around sound and other. Hopefully, you are all feeling the magnificence of your being, of
you.
this planet, of this life, whatever you may be going through. Be able to see the bigger picture and hold on to that positivity and optimism because it breeds more. And positivity and optimism, like everything, is also a frequency of sound. And so the more that you tune into that, it might not be a sound that you can hear, but the more that you tune into that, the more you bring that frequency to you. Understand? Yes. So positivity and optimism is my bedrock.
I love that, Zac. Thank you so much. And I also know that, as you've said before, positivity and optimism is also feeding the field. So we're always doing our bit when we're using our consciousness to be even more deliberate in choosing the state that we wish to experience for the day or for the week or the month.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Zac, and thank you all for being with us here this month. And we look forward to our next conversations and meditations with Zac, and always with you being with us on this journey. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now. Bye, Zac.